This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. What did you say?
This be KUGAN, not this. Go on.
Delighted to be joined.
You're getting no sense out of me today, by the way.
Why?
My mood flipped in the last 30 seconds. I don't know. I'm drinking a coffee. I never drink coffee at this time of day.
Hopefully we get a hyped up version of Adam Booth. How are you, Adam?
Right, sorry, do your introduction, do your professional bit. Go on. Sir.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Delighted to be joined by renowned trainer Adam Booth. How are you, mate?
Bada bing. How you doing?
All right.
I'm now a tree surgeon.
Yeah, so you've been cutting some trees down, haven't you?
Just, doing a bit of gardening.
Yeah. I thought you would have a gardener, though.
Why?
You look like someone who would have a gardener.
I look like a pompous twat that would have a gardener rather than doing it himself.
I didn't say that. You said that.
I got the inference of it, and that's what you meant.
You just look like someone that would have, like, Jeeves the gardener.
Driving around on the giant mower.
Yeah. Jeeves, pick up that bit of litter there.
Jeeves is a butler. Jeeves isn't a gardener.
Jeeves could be a butler and a gardener.
You use Jeeves for a reason. You're implying that I'm a bit period of realm, pompous, up myself a bit, and all that.
You're not?
Huh? No, I have to do my own fucking gardening. And now we're doing this interview, right? I've got the sprinklers on, and now we're doing this interview. That bit of garden there is going to be saturated by the time we finish this because I'm supposed to be moving it around.
So you're going to blame me when you have to spend more money on your garden, basically?
Repairing the flooded lawn, yeah. Send
me the bill. Whatever it costs, just send it to me. You got my address. Send it over. How's life in this kind of unreal kind of situation?
Weird, but we're still alive. If we've got our health, happiness, and security, that's all we need. And the less we need to achieve all three, the wealthier we are.
For someone who's very active in their kind of personal life and also obviously your business life as well, in the gym, etc.
I thought you were about you then. No, I thought you were banking about your manic lifestyle.
No, I'm talking about you.
We just talk about your low-cut vest neck line, please.
You can say
it either looks like your arm is in a sling or you're trying to get that nest bit under your bollocks to hold them up.
What do you want me to do then?
Not show me your nipple like that. That's just wrong.
Wrong.
You got any new ink? New tats?
No, because I can't get round a tattooist. You can't.
Or barbers?
No. No haircut for good 12 weeks. And I have my haircut every week, sometimes twice, depending on what's going on that weekend, you know? How have you coped, though, being contained within your space?
You feel the days, don't you? I get up, train every morning, and then just find little things to get, like to do things through the day, whether it's cutting trees, doing some gardening, the girls' schoolwork, whatever it is. You just fill it, and all of a sudden, before you know, the day is gone. It's strange. What has it been now? 10.5 weeks, 11 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, it was like the 23rd of March, I think it was.
But it feels like nothing. It doesn't feel that long because there's nothing to mark each individual day, is it? There's no events to sort of log a time period, so it kind of just blurs into one big repetitive Groundhog Day.
Yeah, because if I said to you, what did you do last Tuesday, you probably...
I'd say, what day is it today?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Today is Friday, yeah. Friday.
Days are a man-made construct anyway, aren't they? Just like time. So it's all a bit weird, but as long as we've got our health, we can't complain.
Absolutely. We can kind of see a potential return to boxing, hopefully, in July. We've seen Eddie Hearn outline his plans for the Matchroom headquarters garden. Frank Warren's going to announce his plans.
He wants to be Britain's Hugh Hefner.
What do you think of Matchroom Fight Camp? It seems a good idea in the circumstances we're in.
Yeah, summertime. Fights outside have always had like a bit of an extra appeal. Back in the day in the 80s, you know, when Leonard fought Hearns and Hagler and all the fights at Caesar's Palace, they were always on the tennis courts outside. And they're the fights that made me fall in love with boxing in the early 80s. There was a lot of fights outside at Caesar's Palace. So fight when I was younger, me and Gary Logan and Chris Oko, we used to always spar in my back garden, pretending that we were at Caesar's Palace when we were young whippersnappers. So I love the thought of boxing outdoors.
So, I mean, his plan, as in Eddie Hearn's plan, is to put on 4 shows back to back that will end in, hopefully, a fight with Dylan White and Povetkin, which will probably be the first kind of pay-per-view show back after this situation we're in. But
all in his back garden.
All in the back garden. What? I mean, what's the other options for the immediate future of boxing? They're going to have to do this, promoters, aren't they?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And everyone's got to get used to it. You know, be straight out there. You'll hear everything that's said. It'll be like it will sound like a sparring session, where you can hear everyone talking and coaching while the fighters are doing their thing.
Have you been approached to use any of your fighters on any of these kind of cards coming up?
Yes, of course, because I've got Josh Kelly, Michael Conlon, Eddie Scottney, and Shannon Courtney, and 3 of them with Eddie, and Michael is with top rank MTK.
So with Josh Kelly, what is going to be the situation regarding his fight with David Avanesyan?
Who knows? I mean, like Eddie's trying to work through the Povetkin situation at the moment. We just don't know. So he's just had his second little baby. So he's obviously taking care of family business first, and then we're earmarking hopefully like an August, September date for him.
And do you expect Ellie and Shannon to feature on some of these cards as well?
That's what I've been led to believe with Eddie. So I had a conversation with him about them fighting in July on the first show. So I think he's probably a bit clearer now as to what he's doing, and I'll probably give him a call early next week.
Adam, obviously, the Premier League announced its return on June the 17th, which is positive for sport because that's kind of where the benchmark is in this country of football being the biggest sport in the country. So everything else was always going to follow suit after that. But the fact that they're coming back, obviously behind closed doors, that's positive, and that's a good move as well for all live sport, including boxing. Yeah,
I mean, football is the monster anyway, and the money that it gets from TV revenue and sponsorship means that it can afford to do that for a long period of time. Sports like boxing that don't have the same amount of money in it, and other sports, will find it more difficult. Like you'll have Manchester United versus Man City or Liverpool v Everton. You'll have those games, but you won't be getting Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua in Eddie Hearn's back garden. So it's slightly different for boxing. But listen, we're healthy, and if we're still moving, we're still active. We've got to be grateful for it.
Would you understand why some fighters wouldn't want to fight behind closed doors in that situation?
Don't know. No, I wouldn't say I would understand it. When I speak to my guys, there's never any thought or discussion about, no, I'm not doing that. I'll wait till the crowds come back. I think that would be a little bit egotistical. I can't see why a fighter, if a fighter wants to fight, he's got a desire, they'd be chomping at a bit to get back in there.
Because you don't really know when we're going to be in a situation where crowds can return. So how long do you hold off for? The only reason I'm asking is because I interviewed Conor Benn the other day, and he said that he point blank doesn't want to fight behind closed doors. He said if there was a British title on the line, he would then. But unless that was the case, he doesn't want to fight behind closed doors, period.
Well, that's his choice. I can't say that I would necessarily agree with that, but that's his choice.
What's your thoughts on crossover fights between boxing and MMA? There's a lot of talk about Dylan White fighting Francis Ngannou from the UFC. What is your thoughts on
It's all
those?
entertainment. It's all entertainment. It all goes back to the days when Muhammad Ali fought that was it a Japanese wrestler or kicked his legs to pieces. It's all entertainment. To modern day where you had McGregor and Mayweather, and it's all combat sport and it's all entertainment. And I'm desperately trying as I get older not to get so far up myself where I start looking down on forms of entertainment that involve combat sport. So just whatever's out there, just enjoy it for what it is. And bear in mind that Dillian started in kickboxing, didn't he?
Yeah, he was fighting on the Glory shows and that, wasn't he, as well? It's interesting. I mean, I think I've heard as well that Chisora now also wants to do it as well.
Do what?
Like a crossover, yeah. So I've been told.
Everyone's sort of got a whiff of what McGregor earned from Mayweather.
Yeah, but I mean, those numbers are really kind of unrealistic, though, aren't they? I mean, the money that generated isn't.
But I guess look, fighters are fighters. Fighters are fighters. If they want to fight in cross disciplines, it's entertainment, isn't it? It's all entertainment.
We've seen probably an enhanced influx of boxing stories more so over the last 2 months, just particularly because there's nothing to talk about. So a little story turns into a big story, etc., etc. But have you been kind of following this whole timeline of, you know, Wilder stepping away and Joshua Fury happening, etc., if Wilder was to step away and all this kind of stuff? Have you been following that timeline?
No. I had a feeling that when they were first talking about the rematch, that could have been an option, that Wilder would exercise his right for the rematch, but then negotiate a step aside, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but I wouldn't say I've been following anything. If anything, I've deliberately not followed anything to do with work or boxing.
Well, I think Tyson...
A swing ball game is getting much better.
Glad to know.
That thing straight off the string with about 3 bats.
All right. Thanks for that information. Tyson Fury actually come out recently and did say...
Bonk this straight back on the track. Go on.
Yeah, of course, because we haven't finished the discussion about this. Tyson Fury come out and...
I'm being churlish. Right? So I'm being facetious and childish, but I feel I'm nearly through this coffee, and I think that's how I'm going to be now.
Okay, thanks for that as well. Thanks for that information as well.
Tyson Fury
come out and said that he would not pay Deontay Wilder 10 grand to step away. He doesn't want him to step away. So it does look likely that they're only going to fight once this year. I mean, all them heavyweights, Joshua Pulev, Joshua will fight once this year. Fury, Wilder, again, both them fighters once this year. So are we to kind of expect those 2 fights to happen this year without any kind of hiccups to lead into some super fight at the end of the year?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows that the R rate of the coronavirus doesn't spike up again in September, October, and then we have another lockdown? No one knows. Maybe not.
Okay. Are those fights a given for Joshua and Fury, the ones that they've got supposedly coming up, hopefully?
Are they a given?
Yeah, I mean, people talk about Joshua and Fury as if Pulev and Wilder don't almost exist at times.
Oh, right, okay. Well, if you're asking me, do I think Joshua beats Pulev? Yes. Do I think that Fury beats Wilder again? If Wilder goes straight back into the rematch, then I'm strongly favour Fury to do a similar job again. So yes, I would favour them to both come through those fights. I think that Deontay Wilder needs to just go back, regroup, and come back a bit more of a complete fighter.
I was going to ask that. I was going to say to you, what does he need to do specifically, having 2 fights already with Tyson Fury, in order to beat him? But at any given day, Deontay Wilder still possesses that power that can't be taken lightly.
No, but I think Tyson's proved that his style and his attributes can totally negate Deontay's ability to land that power. If you've got power that you can't land, power's irrelevant. And Tyson proved that he was able to dominate that fight and not allow anything powerful to land. And it was, you know, it wasn't like the fight wasn't even close, was it?
Does your opinion about who wins out of Josh and Fury dependent on their fights that they've got coming up with Pulev and Wilder? Because I've spoken to some people about it, and they say that they'll be in a better position to answer that once Wilder has had that fight.
Yeah, but they're like kind of just sitting back and waiting until the answer becomes even more obvious, because as time goes on, more things become apparent. It's the unknown that makes the fight so intriguing. The improvements that Tyson has made, or the changes that he made so drastically between the first Wilder fight and the second one, with no interim fights, is as big a change in a fighter's approach, mentality, performance, and everything else. It's as much of a 180 as I've ever seen in boxing. I think his performance in that second fight shocked everyone except him and his team. And that Kronk mentality of, in the first round, testing the man and having that dominant balance and that assertive jab. He'd never boxed like that before, had he? Ever. Not even back in the day when he was fighting John McDermott and Derek and people like that. Never boxed like that. Not only fought with that type of style, in the biggest fight of his life, for the WBC belt, and he went and did it and performed it so well. I was in awe. And I know Andy Lee really well, and I know Sugar Hill really well, and I was as proud for them as anything, because I know their knowledge and their understanding of the game. And the fact that Tyson was firstly willing to open himself up to that strategy, and for him to make such a 180, he would have had to have totally gone into that with no hesitation or no doubt, right? You box him on the back foot in the first fight and you beat him, but you didn't get the decision. So you've proved how to beat him. No, we're not going to do that. You're not going to do that this time around. You're going to do the total opposite, and you're going to fight a way you've never fought before, and you're going to fight like a bigger white version of Thomas Hearns and dominate from that center ring and use that assertive jab and land that right hand in that Kronk style. That's a 180, right? So massive kudos to all of them. And I put it on the night, and massive kudos to all of them. To be able to make that level of change and improvement with nothing in between just probably proves that at this moment in time, we don't know how much better he can be. Something popped up, someone sent something to me where it was years ago on Ringside on Sky, and he was supposed to be fighting David, and Tyson and I were sitting next to each other, and David was sitting next to Mick Hennessy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah.
And Tyson and I chatted. He's just a totally different man now than he was then. And I know that fighters change. They mature. They understand the game, the business themselves. They understand so much more as time goes on. But he is so much different than he was back then, and so much more assured of himself as well. I'm probably singing his praises too much here. I'm because I get on really well with Deontay. You know, I know Deontay quite well, but I was in total awe and respect of the job that Tyson did that night, and my friend Andy Lee and my friend Sugar Hill.
What do you think would have happened had that fight have happened between Hay and Fury at the time?
I think David would have won.
You still think that Hay would have beaten?
I don't make fights that I don't think we have a chance. And back then, David was Tyson wasn't as I don't believe was as confident or as competent as a fighter as he is now. Mm. If you look at Mayweather and Canelo, Mayweather fought Canelo when Canelo was 23.
Yeah, the version of Canelo back then compared to now, yeah.
Look at the difference. Mm. Now, if Mayweather had waited another 3 years, the outcome could have been different because Canelo became a totally different fighter.
It's interesting that because you see some fighters take fights at relevant moments in their career, and I always say about Billy Joe as well. Billy Joe seemed to have fought Chris Eubank all them years ago at the same time. But I mean, if they fought again, do you expect the same outcome now?
Yeah, but Billy Joe, another one who has evolved a lot as a fighter. His win in Canada against Lemieux was a big step for him in terms of, you know, all fighters think they're going to win. But until you've sort of performed at a certain level and proved it to yourself, getting the win over Andy Lee will give him confidence. But that was a damn close fight. But the way that he beat David Lemieux, who a lot of people thought was going to beat Billy Joe and potentially stop him, definitely threw him to a new level. And he's proven himself at a high level. And he's a southpaw. So if they fought again, yeah, I'd have to favour Billy Joe.
Do you think that the Andy Lee performance was better or worse than say worse, I'm not going to even use that term, but what was the better performance from the Lemieux win and the Andy Lee win? Because on paper, it would suggest Andy Lee, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But the fight with Andy was a very tense affair where both of them were very, like, especially after the knockdowns in the third round, both of them were very, very cautious and cagey, where it wasn't really an end-to-end fight, but neither of them were truly relaxed and comfortable in that fight because both of them were very, very wary of each other. And they're both southpaws. Whereas with Lemieux, he seemed to be much freer in his mentality and his confidence. Because I think the style suited him better.
What chance do you give Billy Joe if he is to fight Canelo? Obviously, the fight was supposedly meant to happen back on May the 2nd due to the situation. That didn't happen, obviously. But what chance do you give Billy Joe against someone like Canelo if the fight's to happen this year?
As good a chance as anyone else out there. I'm not going to be stupid and unnecessarily patriotic to say that Billy Joe would be the favourite in that fight, because he wouldn't. And he'd understand that more than anyone else, that it is for him to prove. Canelo has been tested and proven for a long time now. But with his attributes and his size and his southpaw style and his speed and his cunning, he can pose as many problems for Canelo as anyone out there.
Mm. Adam, just going back to your point you were making about Tyson Fury's transition he made between those two fights. How does that compare to what Anthony Joshua did and the changes and transitions he made in between the two Ruiz fights? Because there was no fight in between for Joshua to kind of adapt and make those changes in between those fights. They were back-to-back within 6 months.
Yeah. So Joshua's 180, or not necessarily 180. Yeah, no, it was a 180 really, because the first fight, when you look at it, it just looked like he wasn't there physically and mentally. Kind of looked like he didn't really know what he was doing for the most part of it, other than just trying to get rid of him. But in the second fight, he went in there wary of the man's power, knowing that the man can hurt and stop him. And he applied himself to that fight with discipline and with structure, and he stuck to the discipline and the structure of it. I thought Ruiz was disappointing, but however disappointing Ruiz was, Joshua was equally as impressive in just applying a strategy to win the fight, to minimize the other dude's possibilities, to take advantage of his own possibilities and not be greedy with it, and just walk away with the win. And that fight wasn't about entertaining the crowd. It was about getting the win. And that's what he did, because he knew that he just needed those belts back to then crack on and give the bigger, more entertaining fights in future. So, so as disciplined, certainly as disciplined as Tyson's 180, but I would say that Tyson's 180 impressed me that much more because his one put him right in the line of danger in an unknown. Whereas Joshua's strategy was to box, tie up, move, and be more smart and more cautious.
Mm. Do you believe that if Joshua hadn't taken the approach he took to that fight and had gone in possibly with the same, it's not same, but similar tactics to the first fight, that he would have got beaten that second fight?
No, I think he would have won it. I think when you say the same attitude, his head, he wasn't like he thought in that first.
Same approach.
But in that first fight, he kind of looked like a dude that thought he just had to turn up, hit the guy on the chin, and walk home with the win. It didn't look like he'd galvanized himself emotionally to be ready for whatever will come back at him. In the second fight, he was. So with that mentality, ready for anything, but still being assertive, yeah, I still think he would have won the second fight. Because I don't think, just like AJ wasn't ready for what happened in the first fight, I'm not sure Andy was ready for what was going to happen in the second fight. So whether he decided to box cautiously on the back foot or step to him and try and get him out of there, I think AJ would have won that rematch anyway.
If that fight was to happen now, forget the Wilder and Pulev situation, if that fight was to happen now between AJ and Fury next, very hypothetical, but if it was, is there someone you favour over the other in that?
Yeah.
Can you let us know who you favour, please?
I'd have to favour Tyson Fury.
Okay. Do you want to expand on that anymore?
Well, it's all about styles. And Tyson has proven himself over and over again in the face of people not believing that he can do it. Let's go back to the Klitschko fight. There was nothing preceding that really made him anything credible to be a favourite in that fight. Then he took that hiatus away from the sport. I remember sitting next to him, talking to him in Monaco, thinking he's never coming back, just because of the size of him and how unwell he looked.
3 years ago.
But yeah, whenever that was.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of quick, scrappy wins before Deontay Wilder.
So he fought, on his comeback, he fought Sefer Seferi, then he fought Pianetta.
Cruiserweight.
Yeah, and then the Wilder fight.
Yeah, right. So what he came back and did had no relevance to that level. And then to step in with Deontay Wilder and do what he did. And in that fight, he wasn't what he should have been. Right? He wasn't what he could have been. He was still heavy, overweight, not as good a condition as he was in the second fight. When you look at all the things that he's done and how he's proven convention wrong, and he has that flow, and he's hard to hit, and he's prepared to go down and get up, but he's got that mobile balance. That mobile balance, I think, would play out as the difference in that fight.
So just to finish off on this, do you think you could see something different potentially in their next fights against Wilder, against Pulev, to make you change any of what you said?
No, because both of them have proved that they can step out and be aggressive or box on the back foot. So if they fight, let me ask you a question. How would Tyson approach the fight? When that first bell rings, what style Tyson Fury walks out to the ring?
Well, I'm assuming a similar one to the one he fought in the second fight against Wilder.
Why? He's a master of mind games. Because what did we assume was going to happen in that second fight? Wilder.
No, absolutely. Even though he was telling people he was going to do that. He told everyone he was going to do what he did, didn't he?
Yeah, but because he's the master at double bluffing,
yeah,
most of the people thought, there's no way he's going to step out and trade with Deontay Wilder. He's blagging it. He's going to beat him on the back foot just like he did the first time out. That's what people thought. So you can't. He's harder to second guess.
It's very true. It's very true. Oh, I enjoyed that analysis from you. I quite like
You're
that.
welcome.
What?
You're welcome.
Adam, let me ask you, massive influx of retired heavyweights supposedly making a comeback. Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, James Toney's throwing his name in the hat now. Oliver McCall had something to say the other day. I mean, your thoughts on this?
I think we're all bored, aren't we? We're all bored.
So, yeah or nay? No? Not for you?
What's the question?
The question is, what's your thoughts on it? And do you think that guys like Tyson and Holyfield, especially, should be making a return to the ring?
Everyone can do what they want. I can't say that. I can remember what Mike Tyson was like in his prime. And I'm confident that if he were to box again, he wouldn't look like he did in his prime. So I just remember him as in his prime. I wouldn't need to see Mike Tyson fight now because I already know how great he was. Same as Holyfield. And as you get older, but then again, if he wants to do it, everyone's entitled to do what they want to do if it's within the law. And I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it, but I prefer if they didn't.
I mean, it does make a difference whether they're coming back to do some kind of... I mean, if Holyfield and Tyson fought in an exhibition-style event, but we're not surely talking about them coming back to compete with modern-day heavyweights. That's a completely different thing.
Well, I wasn't talking about it at all until you brought it up. So what are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just comparing it. If they're going to come back as an exhibition, you can kind of possibly make your peace with that. But surely I'm just saying these guys are not coming back.
I don't see Evander Holyfield boxing an exhibition. He might have big gloves on and a head guard, but Evander Holyfield, I don't know. There's something about him. I just see him going at it.
Do you not think, though, like people get really carried away on social media? They see like 30 seconds. Of course, Mike Tyson is going to look good on the pads. He'll look good on the pads when he's like 100.
Yeah, but in that little clip, there's one thing I did notice. When he throws that last right hand, if you watch, he kind of half stumbles forward a little bit because his legs weren't under him. And the first thing that goes as we get older are our legs. Our balance isn't as good. We don't move as well from the floor. So the hands can always look good, but anyone can hit pads. Anyone can hit bag and look good. It's when you're actually in there and you've got to move like a fighter under that type of stress. How many people get better with age with that much gap? None.
No, you probably get one of these fighters every 50 or 100 years.
But he's so famous. He's so famous and he's so loved. So loved. His name is adored that if he says, I'm getting back in the ring, who are we to say, no, you shouldn't do that? Who are we to say that? He knows so much more than we do. He's done so much more than any of us. We can say, I'd rather he didn't do that because I idolize him anyway. But if he says, I'm doing it, who are we to say anything? I think we should shut up and say, well, you're Mike Tyson or you're Evander Holyfield. You are all-time greats. You've reached that level where do what you want and be respected.
It's not entirely the kind of a similar situation, but I suppose before George Foreman fought Michael Moorer, when he was 45, a lot of people would have had similar-ish thoughts about George Foreman returning to the ring 10 years after being absent as well. I mean, Tyson hasn't fought since he fought McBride in like the early 2000s, but
stopped by Kevin McBride.
Yeah. But you're right. Who are we, eh? Who are we to judge? As long as they're safe and they come out of whatever doing safe.
I'm just a coach and you're an internet sensation with a low-cut top.
It's actually really good to talk to you. I probably haven't interviewed you since I come to the gym. That seems like ages ago now. That was a couple of weeks before this all kicked in when I come to your gym.
February.
End of February, start of March. Start of March it was. How's Habas?
Habas or Abbas?
Habas. With an A.
He's in Germany.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's fine. Like I message the guys every now and again, but it's not not daily chats. But Abbas is a real cool dude, and as sort of emotionally and mentally stable as anyone I've ever met. So I'm sure that he's fine.
Okay. I like Abbas. He's a solid dude. What are you watching on Netflix at the minute, Adam?
What am I on now? White Lines.
I've heard mixed reviews about that. What's your one?
It's all right. It's watchable. It's not something I'd watch a second time, but it just happened to be something I invested an hour in, and so I decided to stay with it. So I watched that. What else? Actually, don't watch much. Genuinely, I haven't watched much TV. I'll always watch Impractical Jokers. Always.
Old school. Do you want to know what I've been watching? Are you interested?
Sorry. What have you been watching, Koo?
Oh, funny you should ask me that, Adam.
Teeth whitening.
What?
Did you have your teeth did?
No, not for about 6 months.
What did you have did to them before?
Nothing, just a bit of whitening. Anyway.
Because you are from?
Because I'm what?
Because you are from?
Essex. So, on the recommendation of two people, being Peter Fury and also Shannon Courtney, Homeland.
Oh, so I watched that years ago. The first 3 series of it, I couldn't get enough of it. And then
Stop! Don't say nothing.
And he fell off the cliff.
No, don't say nothing because I'm halfway through it.
What you on?
I've just finished season 4. Okay.
Okay. And what do you think of it?
I think it's absolutely, excuse my French, fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
And two people, Shannon and Peter Fury, swore by it. So I'm
for me, season 2 was the best one.
Unbelievable.
Season 2 was the best one.
I'd love to have interviewed Nicholas Brody.
What comedy do you watch?
I'm not really in the mood for comedy. I don't really watch a lot of comedy things at the
minute. Who are
minute.
your favourite comedians?
What, international or within the country?
Ever.
Favourite comedians? Can I put Ricky Gervais in this?
Why couldn't you? He is.
Yeah, he is, but...
So, you know Afterlife season 2?
Yeah.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Did you see that little 25-minute bit he put out of the outtakes?
I've seen some of the outtakes, not the whole version.
I'll send it to you. So he put out a video where it's 25 minutes of outtakes, and there's the scene in the pub.
In the pub with Ratty and the nonce.
That's right. And that's from Phone Shop.
Yeah. I've seen that clip because it's where they're coming in and they're making up all these different names on the spot.
That's right.
That's the only clip of that I've seen.
Yeah, it's one of the funniest I've seen.
Ricky Gervais, 100%. I'm also a big Jimmy Carr fan.
Okay.
I like Jimmy Carr. And I used to like back in the day, Lee Evans. I used to like Lee Evans as a stand-up. And I also used to like, when he was doing stand-up, Eddie Murphy as a stand-up as well.
Okay.
And also, I like Stephen Merchant because I've watched him doing stand-up. He's very good. And who else? Go on, you hit me with a couple.
My favourite My favourite of all time,
Charlie Chaplin.
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks, okay.
Bill Hicks. Lenny Bruce.
Richard Pryor.
80s.
Richard Pryor was hilarious.
Eddie Izzard.
Okay.
I think he's incredible, the way he tells stories. Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais.
He's one person. See if you give me
Louis C.K. Louis C.K.
Okay.
Louis C.K. and Larry David. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I know you mean. Oh, you thrown me now. Who was I was going to mention someone else. Are you a McIntyre fan?
Michael McIntyre.
Yeah.
He's an easy watch, but the names I've said before would always be my go-tos.
Hale and Pace. Wow, I used to love Hale and Pace.
Wise.
Welcome up. Benny Hill. I was a huge Benny Hill fan, believe it or not. You remind me a bit of Benny Hill.
Why?
I don't know why I said that. I'll be honest. I don't know why I said that. That's just
You're trying to be oblique with your humour and it flattens.
No, but I was a big Benny Hill fan. I used to watch him as a child.
You dye your hair?
Do I dye my hair? No. Why would I dye my hair?
Because you might have grey.
I have a lot of grey.
But you don't dye it?
No, not yet. I had grey hairs when I was about 23. And I just left them. Can you see them? Oh,
yeah. It looks like a bit of shiny wax.
It's good to have the choice, though, isn't it, Adam?
Actually, it's just as well that we're not doing this about 2 weeks ago, because I did let my hair grow for about 7 weeks.
Looks well. I'll tell you one other thing I watched, Ozark.
Yeah. I started watching that, and then I lost interest in it.
Stop. You need to give it a go, because it doesn't...
I've been told, yeah. And in fairness, I thought that about Breaking Bad after the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Which I still haven't seen.
It changed my life forever, so, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that, and Sam Jones is always banging on about Breaking Bad.
Never seen what?
Never seen Breaking Bad.
Then don't even talk to me about box sets or TV shows until you watch that. Don't talk to me.
All right.
That is the greatest series of all time.
This is what Sam Jones said, so...
Full stop, end of conversation.
One more thing I'm going to chuck in. Have you seen it? Because I only watched this recently, and I watched it in about 2 weeks, the whole lot. Peaky Blinders.
Nah, never watched any of it.
Very good. Very, very, very good. Took me a while to watch it, but yeah, I ironed it out in a couple of weeks. Okay, Adam, I'm going to let you... Oh, having a time check.
How much weight?
What?
We put on weight.
Yeah, I've put on 8 pounds. Is there any more to that, or is it just put on?
No, it's just a random question. Hang on. About random. Well, keep talking while I look for this.
What are you trying to find?
Rapid fire questions. Someone sent me some rapid fire questions the other day, so I was just going to fire them at you.
Okay.
I don't know if I can find them. Go on. Keep talking.
No, we're all good. We're all good. I have another interview in like 13 minutes as well.
Go on. Who is it?
It's with Derek and David.
D&D. Double D.
Derek and David, yeah. So that's all I'm doing for us tonight. Were you gonna hit me with some rapid questions or what?
Oh no, I gave up. You wrapped it up because you want to go and talk to the bigger names. So I just turned my phone off. I was trying to find them, but
that's not very nice, is it? You have to end it something positive.
Sorry, I thought you were cutting me off. I thought that was it.
Cutting you off? I'm just making a semi-statement.
I might phone you later on Instagram and interview you, and we'll do it then.
Yeah, I'll have a few bottles of vodka later, so it's not a good idea.
No, it'd be fun.
No, it might be Korea.
You fucking ignore my call. Don't you ignore my call when I do call.
I'll be passed out somewhere.
All right.
Adam, thank you very much for your time. Hope you're keeping well. And hopefully the next time I see you or speak to you or interview you, I'll be 2 meters apart. 2 meters apart, remember that. Wash hands, 2 meters apart. Imagine they said you had to spar from 2 meters apart.
Some fighters do.
Fair enough. All right, Adam, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll catch up with you soon.
Fury could probably land a jab from more than 2 meters away.
Yeah, most probably.
He socially distance a world heavyweight championship defense. On that note,
Adam, thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you soon.
speak soon.
Top man.
Blessings.